Hi, this is Supreet, and today we're going to see the use of usestate and useEffect. And we're going to make an Ajax call again and present the data on the screen. So for this, I have used codesandbox.io. Look at this, codesandbox.io. So this is basically an online editor where I don't need to install anything. I don't need to install React. So what we're going to do is we're going to import axios package. So this is going to help us make Ajax calls and make use of REST APIs, basically consuming REST APIs. So what we're going to do is we're going to create const array comma set data. Set data is basically a function. I will assign this to an empty array. I'm going to say use state. This is my empty array. So this would be your function and this would be your data. So the data or the response from the Ajax call would be assigned to this, ultimately assigned to an array, and would be displayed on the screen. And if you see here, this is my browser component, and on the real time it will get refreshed. All right, so now I'm gonna make Ajax call. So before that, I'm gonna use usEffect. I'm gonna make use of fat arrow function. Now here I'm gonna make Ajax call. So I'm gonna say axios dot get. Now the URL I would be using is this. So let's say JSON placeholder. This is a free API that you can use for testing. So I'm going to make use of this. All right. So then I'm going to say dot then response goes to console.log response dot data, just to check on the console that if we are receiving the data from this particular API. All right, so now let me comment this and check. Now if you see, there is an object over here. So this is the response that we're getting from um, the API. All right, so now we want to display this on the screen. All right, so now set data function, we can make use of this set data function, and we can say set data and the response dot data. So we, however, are receiving the data, but this is ending up in a infinite loop. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pass the second parameter as an empty array over here. All right. So now here I'm going to say arr dot title. I'm going to enclose this in h1. Let me close this h1 tag. So we have an error. Let me rectify this error. So this should be small letter. So now if you see, you have the data over here. So what else we have? We can see arr.id. Now this should display your ID over here. So what else we have? We have or we can display user ID. So it's gonna display over here. So I'm just gonna add BR to this. All right. So now you have all the details over here. So this is how we're gonna make use of use state and use effect. So use effect basically takes two parameters. One is a function and second is an array. So this is a function, and inside the function I'm gonna make Ajax call, and the second is an empty array. And we're gonna see how to call make an Ajax call to web API, and which internally connects to Firebase, and then gets the data from the Firebase and displays it on the screen. Now for that I have a controller over here. Let me show you this. So this is the controller and this is the get method. Now I have connected to Firebase using Firesharp SDK, and I'm gonna get the details from the Firebase database. Let me show you the Firebase database as well. I'm gonna choose my project, and then I'm gonna go to database, real-time database. All right, so these are the data, the existing data. So I'm gonna pull out this data and display on the screen. For that I have an API created over here, and this is my API code. So let's not worry about this. Let's worry about this on some other day. But what I'm gonna show you is how I'm gonna fetch this data via this API and present it on the screen via this. This is my React app. All right. So one more thing to notice is cross origin. So the course problem will always be there. To fix that course issue, I'm gonna go to, in case if you're using .NET Core, just go to startup.cs and add these lines. App in the configure method, add these lines. App.use course and set it to allow origin, allow any method, allow any header. So this will fix your course issue. All right. So let's get back to the React app over here. So now I'm running this application, and this is the data I'm getting, the JSON data. So I'm taking this JSON data from the API and you know displaying on my screen here via React. So I'm just gonna add this URL, and now if you see here in the console, I'm gonna get the objects. All right. So here I'm gonna say data of 0 and say h3 arr dot name, close this h3 tag. So this would display the name over here. Then I would say h2, then I would say arr dot, what else we have, name, and then age. All right, the age is being displayed over here. The last data we have is designation. So I'm gonna say arr dot designation. All right, so now we have this data. So you might be wondering, we have three objects over here, four objects over here. I'm just gonna, I'm displaying only one object details. So to loop through this, we're gonna use some map function, and that I'm gonna show you in the forthcoming video. So for now, this is how you display, the object details coming from REST API, and this REST API internally connects to Firebase. So in order to loop through the objects, for example, we have four objects. So in my previous video, I have shown you how to display the data from one object, right? One item from one object. So now we're gonna see how to display all the objects. So for that, I'm gonna loop through making use of map. So this map, whenever you want to loop through the objects, we can make use of map instead of using for each loop. So map ideally takes a callback function. So we're going to make use of fat arrow function, and then we're going to return the objects inside this. For example, I have said ARR is where your data is present, and I'm going to say ARR.map, and then inside this a goes to, this is a fat arrow function, a callback function, and inside my tr I have a.name and a.age. So now I'm displaying the age over here. So once I remove this, you're gonna say, you're gonna see this name. Let me show you this. We have name as Tom, Harry, Hariputar. So this way you can loop through the objects and show the data whatever you want. Look at this. You have all the designations over here. All right.